Next time on a very spooky fine dining podcast, the season 1 finale, TGI Fridays the 13th. Oh, you betcha, pineapple's gonna hit the fan as Michael's son Juicy, or in this episode, Juice's son Voorhees, goes on a murderous rampage, and no one is safe. It gets real spooky, it gets real bloody, and not everyone's gonna make it to the end of the episode. Who will live, who will die? Listen to Fine Dining, the search for the most mediocre restaurant in America, break down a trip to TGI Fridays based on the atmosphere, the service, and the food, and try not to be scared to death. Hear the thrilling finale of Fine Dining, Wednesday, October 25th, wherever you get your podcasts.
Vote of no confidence? Well, how about I have no confidence in the people who called for a vote of no confidence? I'm Harriet Langley-Swindon, and this is Non-Censored. Hello, so this is our first regular podcast episode. This week was quite wonderful. We have an interview with media lovey James O'Brien. We discussed some current issues with Eshaan Akbar. And there were lots of things we discussed that we just didn't have room to fit in this highlights episode,
Absolutely,
did we, Martin?
Such a busy week.
I mean, it really was. I mean, we had what did we have? We had a very wokey lefty lawyer talking about Rwanda, and I destroyed her. I absolutely eliminated her. I mean, she was humiliated.
Well, there was a bit of a bone of contention from the public there. I think some people had some different views, but it was certainly a challenging interview.
Martin, my clip had 17,000 quote tweets.
Yes.
Now, people don't quote tweet videos like that unless they're very impressed with it.
I've got a clip here. I could play it if you want me to.
No, I don't think we need to listen to the clip, Martin. There's no room. There's no room from the clip. I think we just got to take it that she was very humiliated. I had thousands of messages of people just saying about how I'd eliminated her. I think it was made into a little meme or whatever it's called. It was just shocking. I mean, poor thing. She's probably cowering in her little lawyer office right now.
Yes. It's your show anyway, so you're the one who's telling the story.
It is my show. But we had other things. We had a silly woman talking about how monkeypox was causing hatred towards monkeys, and a social mobility czar this week told working class children not to aim for Oxbridge. Now, the thing is, Martin, this is what I say to all my working class friends. I say, stop working with me.
Right. Well, yes. Yes, that is something that a few of your working class friends have said that they wanted to do to me, actually. But I encouraged them to pursue whatever goals they want.
I wish we could have fitted everything in. I mean, there's the whole Saudi Arabia Gulf story, which I think really is a fuss about nothing, isn't it? I mean, Saudi Arabia doesn't like women, fine, but women don't like golf. So what's the problem? But Martin, of course, the biggest story this week was the vote of no confidence. And you really pulled a coup this week. You got us. Tell us, Martin, who did you get us to guest on this show? This is quite amazing.
Yes. Well, if I were to say that his name rhymes with Morris Bonson, yeah, well, it wouldn't take a genius to work out that I'm talking about the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson.
Well, it was a unanimous win, wasn't it, Prime Minister?
Oh, yeah. Listen, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to talk to you, of course. And, can I just say, fantastic victory. And, it's sort of a V-day for myself and the Tory party and everyone in the country. I'm sure everyone will be delighted. And, thank you for bringing that up, of course.
Now, listen, I don't want to turn the tone because obviously this is a unanimous win and it's wonderful. But there were 148 Tory MPs who failed to back you. Now, what are they doing here? I just feel they're self-destructing the Tory party, aren't they? They're opening the door to a smirking Keir Starmer.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is that as much as they voted against me, but in a way, they were voting for me. because it's a show of support. Because yes, they said they've got no confidence, but what they're really saying is that they've got no confidence now, but they do still love me, and so I would say all it's going to do is bring us more success, and I've spoken to a few of them. I mainly before I held up one gentleman up against the wall, and I said vote for me, you f***ing prick, and he still didn't. And that is frustrating, but you have to take these things as and when they come. I remember the great French prophet Jean Valjean. He once
wonderful, yes.
you know him. He said, enchanté la trophy mort referendum. And and I think that is very it makes a lot of sense today. So I'm not too bothered about the people who didn't vote for me. I've had many political people oppose me in the past, and I've still managed to get my way through.
That's the thing, isn't it? When people win a war, we don't say, "Well, look at all the dead bodies." We go, "You won. Party's over. Let's move on."
Yeah,
and that's what's happening here. You've won the war. And now you can continue being the sort of greatest prime minister since Winston Churchill, really.
Oh, right. I can only attempt to be as good as the great man, but I'm sure if he was alive today, then he would have come to these parties because he knows how hard we were working, and if we can't, have a relaxed. Karaoke club night with cheese and wine and a couple of local escorts. Then what is the world come to? I'm sure the NHS workers were doing exactly the same.
What do you say to claims that you are a lame duck prime minister?
Well, I in some countries, in some that I've visited, the duck is seen as a prized animal. And I think in this scenario, sure, it's a lame duck, but once the duck is on the water, he doesn't really need. He only needs one of his legs, isn't it? So and it'll be beautiful there with a lovely mallard or 2-3 mallards, and that is mallard the female. I don't think it's a negative connotation. I think it can only be a good thing, and I love ducks. I do. I know. So yeah, I take it as a compliment.
Wonderful. I mean, this is the thing about you. I think, Prime Minister, is you're very optimistic, aren't you? You
Yes.
keep on. People might say that you're sort of desperately clinging on to power, but I don't see it like that. I think a man who looks into the future, sees positive things, and knows he's the one to bring it forward.
Well, it is in times like this, and I like to think of the late, great Captain Tom. And I remember when he was walking up and down his garden, and he was getting all that positive press, and I was thinking, how's he getting all that positive press? I'm doing so much wonderful things. I'm trying to kill all the old people. I'd be honest with you, I was a little bit bitter about him at times. And especially when it was his birthday and he got all those cards in the gymnasium and stuff. But what was I saying? But I think of the brilliant Captain Tom, and I just think I'm as good as that.
I think, and we were talking about lame ducks earlier. Who's the more likely lame duck? A little old man who has to walk so slowly, has to use a frame, or a virile prime minister who has bags of energy, who cheated death, and who's here to fight another day. Who's really the lame duck here?
I appreciate you saying that. I look at the Queen. You've had 4 days celebrating the Queen. She was only there for one of them, and she had a walking stick. Is that not the definition of a lame Queen?
Yes,
she was lame. So
yes.
I'm not lame. As you correctly say, I've cheated death. I've had 4 children this month.
Maybe yes, maybe more. You just don't know.
You have no idea. And I would say I'm complete opposite of lame. I'm a duck, and all the good bits about a duck, and bloody tasty it is too.
Now, unlike the rest of the media, this show actually believes in political balance. giving you a range of views and letting you make up your own mind. So we heard from the government, but we also heard from someone who used to be in government, former Conservative MP Michael La Vache. What do you make of this result? I mean, Boris he's really run away with it, hasn't he?
He absolutely has. And I'll be honest with you, I am not surprised in the slightest. I couldn't be happier for him. He's been a good friend for a good many years, right up until, and then even after when he sacked me from government. But I don't mind. I'm just happy to see him thriving.
Now, Michael, I hope you don't mind. I did want to sort of bring up with you certain things you said in the past, because obviously you're very behind Boris Johnson. However, in the 2016 leadership election, you did describe him as unqualified, unserious, and a total shit.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did say that. But I mean, that's clearly two friends having a joke between each other. He's unqualified, I'm incompetent. It's humour. It's very clever humour between two good friends. That's all it was. Yes, he was unqualified. Yes, he was unserious, and sometimes he can be a shit. But we were just joking. We're just friends joking.
But I think he is serious, isn't he? Yes, he's got very silly hair, but otherwise he's serious about the job in hand. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely. There is nothing he is more serious about than his job or, other things surrounding his job that might not be his job. And, of course, his hair is ridiculous. But, I've had words with him about that, and he just doesn't listen.
Sorry, I think my producer, Martin, was trying to get in there.
Yes, we do have another quote here from 2016. It says, "I hate him. I really hate him. He's a twat, and that's not a joke."
Well, I can see. I mean, yes, I think you're paraphrasing what I said.
Actually, I believe you did say it on this station. In fact, I think we have a clip here. I can just get up.
I hate him. I really hate him. He's a twat, and that is categorically not a joke. Yes. Well, I mean, that's that is something I said. Absolutely, but what you're missing is the wider context of that sentence. And that the context of that sentence was I started with, "This is categorically a joke. I hate him. I really hate him. He's a twat. This is categorically not a joke." End joke. That's the context there. You missed that.
No, Michael, see, now I hear what you're saying. I mean, I know what the media can be like. It really can take things out of context. But this is from our station. And we don't do that here.
We don't make things up.
No.
We don't make things up.
No, exactly. It's a wonderful station.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think there's just been some crossed wires there somewhere. And, maybe someone else said it. Maybe it wasn't me after all.
And well, to be fair, Michael, I'm sure you've said some wonderful things about the Prime Minister as well. Producer Martin, can you dig out any sort of good quotes that Michael may have said in pro Prime Minister?
I'll see what I can dig up, and I'll get that over to you shortly.
Wonderful. So while producer Martin is doing that, Michael, I just want to sort of briefly touch on this. Obviously, you haven't been in government for a while after some financial impropriety, I believe.
No, that's where you're wrong. I was fired because I had been recently assigned the role of government sustainability czar, and then I was photographed by the press using a non-disposable cup. That's why I was fired. I was also engaged in substantial financial impropriety, but that had nothing to do with being fired.
Oh, I see. It's terrible. It's terrible, isn't it, how they blow things up like this?
I mean, utterly madness. It's left-wing biased at its worst. And that's coming from the government. Which I don't know what that tells you, but it's not good.
Do you feel a kinship with Boris Johnson, who also suffers from attacks from the wokies?
Yes. It's something we used to talk about a lot. The wokies, the wokes. I think they're gunning for blood. And, of course, they caused blood when they got me, and, I died. Oh, I didn't die. That's a metaphor.
Your career died.
My career died, and
your life died. Your self-respect died.
Well,
the love your wife had for you died.
That had died a long time ago, but,
Right.
We're still living together. That shouldn't be an obstacle.
So, Michael, before I go to our final question, I just wanted to check in with Producer Martin. Producer Martin, have you found any fun, lovely friendship quotes that Michael may have said about Boris Johnson?
I have indeed. He once called him an egg, which I think is probably a shorthand for a good egg. Something positive. The full quote was that the man's an egg. He's a fucking egg. I'll fucking smash his face. The egg. Don't know if that's a sort of friendly.
Sounds very affectionate.
Yeah. It was. That's what I used to call him. Eggy bread. That's just the rapport that we had together right up until he sacked me.
Now, in this show, it's not just about serious issues. We also like to have a laugh. And that's why we bring on comedian Eshaan Akbar to talk about the news. Martin, what did we talk about this week?
We've got a good chat about Love Island, whether it's woke or not, and all of the different parameters that you could score a little point against the wokerati.
So Love Island is back on our screens, but what is on everyone's lips is it now too woke? There's virtual signalling with ethical wardrobes. They've partnered with eBay instead of their usual jolly, trashy clothes. Here in the studio to discuss this with me is Eshaan Akbar.
Hello, it's lovely to be back.
Well, Eshaan, one thing I did want to get your opinion on as our diversity hire.
That's a diversity correspondent.
Diversity correspondent was that there was a dramatic twist this year. So usually what happens is the women step forward on the man they like, and then the man chooses which of those women he wants to go with. Now, this time, that was taken out of their hands, presumably so their feelings weren't hurt. And instead, the viewing public got to decide who paired off with who. So it was sort of like an arranged marriage.
Yes.
Which I assume is something you know lots about.
Well, I know lots about it because it has happened to other members of my community. I was in the way it was set up for me was in the previous iteration of the program where I would get to choose. I mean, my mother came home with 17 very eligible women, and I got to pick three of them, and I picked three of them, and they said no, so I didn't see them.
Oh, dear.
So then this year, what they've decided is that they would do it the other way. They actually got the community to vote for the women that would go with me, and the community voted for nobody. Because they said it was better that. But generally, I think democracy is good, isn't it?
Yes. I absolutely agree with you there, Eshaan. Democracy is good. And
so Brendan, when you leave it to democracy, though, here's what happens: is they'll pair the black person up with the black person, and
that is exactly what happened, actually.
Oh.
So because the public chose,
yes,
they paired the two black women off with the two black men.
Right. Well, there we are.
Because they had to put them with someone they felt they had something in common with, and that's what the public said.
So, Martin, do you not like interracial relationships?
I do. I encourage them. I think, why not?
Oh, so you fetishize interracial relationships?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm pro people being happy together, regardless of their complexion, the background, as long as they're happy. Also, if you prefer to be alone, that is equally okay with me.
Maybe, Eshaan, your community felt that you wanted to be alone, and that's why they chose no one.
Well, perhaps, or maybe because the people that were put to a vote, there were 11 women, six were white because the country is majority white. One was Asian, one was a black lady, and two were they didn't really disclose their race because they did an equality form before they went to the vote. But for some reason, I don't know how they reversed. I think I'm eligible. I think I'm nice.
Yes, and I'm sure there are some women who agree with you.
Yes.
Now, ahead of the series, contestants were offered video training and guidance covering appropriate inclusive language around disability, sexuality, race, and ethnicity, as well as general behaviours and microaggressions. Now, one of the reasons why we love Love Island is because it's fun. People get angry. The men gaslight the women. We all have a good laugh. Is this a bygone era? Are we now just going to see women and men being polite to each other?
Yes, I think so. I think there's a real risk of Love Island just becoming this boring exchange between people who avoid saying anything that may seem potentially hurtful to one another. Unless, of course, the diversity training, which is the kind that I advocate, was making sure that whatever racism or sexism they were doing was well researched and well understood. So instead of calling someone, a generic slur, you could be very specific about the country and region that they're from, and actually that they may feel more welcomed. I'm, as you know, a big advocate of making sure that people get things right, even when they're being racist.
Yes, accuracy is key here.
Accuracy,
Martin,
if you will.
Very good. I mean, it honestly, it really just changed things up having a comedian on the panel. Martin, could you fill us on some fun racial slurs?
Martin, do you have any favourites?
I don't know if I'd call any racial slurs fun, and I certainly don't have any favourites. Not keen on those words. They're bad words. I would like.
Which ones do you know? Tell us. Tell us the ones you know.
Oh, I'm not sure that. We all obviously we'll hear some, but from time to time. But it's not something that I care to bring up.
Which ones do you hear the most?
Well,
from coming out of your mouth.
Hey, that's not me. I live in a post-color landscape. I don't see race. I try not to see it.
You try.
No, I see.
Try not to see it, but when are you forced to see it?
Well, sometimes you're just walking down the road late at night and you think, oh, they look a bit different.
Sorry, Martin, could you be more specific?
No, not in a bad way. Yes, they're good. Diversity, I'm happy when my area is...
Okay, Martin, if you were riding a bike, because I assume you ride a bike, I don't imagine you are able to afford a car.
I have a bicycle, yes.
And I ran to you in the middle of the night and stole your bike, and the police asked for a description of me.
Yes.
What would you say?
I'd say it was comedian Eshaan Akbar. I do a radio show with him upon occasion, and I probably wouldn't report you. I'd come round to your house and have a conversation.
But they wouldn't know what I look like. How would you describe me?
Probably showed them one of your promo photos. I don't know.
Can I just say, this is the problem. This is the problem with Love Island. Martin is a key example of someone who would go on Love Island now, and instead of saying what he thinks, he'd just warble on about his bike, and everyone would be very bored, but apparently it would be safe.
He does warble on about his bike, doesn't
he? It's a Brompton. It's quite expensive, so I don't think I'd mention it all the time. But
what colour is the Brompton?
It's brown.
Is it a bike of colour?
Not in a... I didn't choose that because for any reason. It's just the colour that there was... money off.
I don't think any of us were thinking of a reason, Martin, but sure.
So, okay, final point. I'll go to you first. Eshaan, do you reckon Love Island, is it too woke?
Yes, in a word, it is far too woke.
Producer Martin, is it too woke?
I don't think it is, but I guess it's not really down to me. I'm not the target demographic. I think some of its audience may believe so.
Right, that's all we have time for. I think we can all agree that Love Island is too woke. Now, finally, is the interview he didn't want you to hear. James O'Brien, he tried to get this stopped. He was daunted by how I put him in his place, and he tried to get his lawyers onto us, didn't he, Martin?
He certainly did, yeah.
And do you know what I did? I took that letter and I threw it in the bin.
Yes, you did, and I took it out of the bin and I responded to it.
And then I spat on it.
I rubbed the spit off because I couldn't quite read what was written on it. But I did respond to them, and it's all been ironed out in a nice, legal and fair manner.
Yes, they won't be doing that again in a hurry.
Oh, no, I doubt he'll agree to come on the programme again.
Now, our guest today is an activist radio host, podcaster, and, like myself, a famed opinionist. He is also the author of a 2-part memoir charting his painful journey to accepting the limitations of his liberal mind. How to be right, and its touching conclusion, how to be wrong. James O'Brien, welcome to the show.
Thank you. The second one's how not to be wrong. The second
Martin, you didn't tell me that. How not to be wrong. So a bit like O.J. Simpson's If I Did It, a sort of...
It's very like that.
Yeah, very like that. Right. Well, I have, of course, read the book. Very interesting. But for those who haven't, could you tell people a bit about it?
The first book is about how people end up holding opinions that are not very often supported by facts or evidence. And the second book is how, yes, it is, how I ended up holding various opinions that were not really supported by facts or evidence and the sort of seeds of my own prejudices.
Well, the seeds of your own prejudices are very sort of evident in your work. So I think it's very brave of you to explore that in a book. It's just wonderful. Yeah. So very good. I guess I want to ask you, James, when did you realise you were wrong? I mean, has it been a lifelong journey, an epiphany, or was it Brexit? It was Brexit, wasn't it?
No. It's more about catching myself causing hurt and pain to other people who probably didn't deserve it. So holding opinions about other people's lifestyle choices that were quite caustic. I mean, it's very good box office, of course, to be vicious and rude about people who are different from you, and I just guess I caught myself doing it and tried to work out why, and when I couldn't come up with any plausible or flattering answers, I'm afraid I was left with little option but to conclude that I had been wrong to hold those views in the first place.
Wonderful. And when in your book do you deal with Brexiteers and how you've wronged them? Is that...
Well, I mean, unfortunately, the nature of my radio show, which is a modest little project, is that they ring in and they wrong themselves, really. All I do is ask questions to which they are often unable to provide even the most simple of answers. So I'm a relatively minor player in the Brexit debate. My job is simply to ask people what their very pungent and strong opinions are based on, and it would be generous, perhaps, to say that they often turn out to be built on nothing remotely sane at all, including some of the most popular and widely held opinions in the country at the moment, which sort of, I don't know whether you've noticed this, but fewer and fewer people are still clinging to the notion that it was a good idea. I don't know.
Well, I don't know you say that, James, but Brexit, I think, is offering so many opportunities that they've created a department for Brexit opportunities. I mean, there's not a Brexit department of no opportunities, is there? That there's simply a lot to be doing, and Brexit gave us the vaccine. It took away the pointy bananas, which of course was very dangerous for wildlife, choking on those bananas.
Yes.
So these are all things to kind of take into account, aren't they?
No, yes. I mean, you're not right exactly, but you're certainly saying things that I've heard many times before.
How do you explain, for example, James? I don't know if you were aware of the survey in the Express, which said I think 95% of Brexit voters were very satisfied with the way Brexit panned out.
When did you see that? Where was this from? Sorry.
I did, but Martin, yes. Can you remember?
Yes. It was from the 16th of May. You may have just misquoted it slightly. It's a staggering poll. Shows a 94% of readers believe we haven't got the Brexit we voted for.
Yes.
But that's not.
It's just you just missed one word. It was just that we haven't. It's not that we got the Brexit. It's that we haven't. So it's similar message.
It's funny. It's It's these little words, isn't it? It's like we were talking earlier, James, about your book with its how not to be wrong. It sort of throws people off course, doesn't it? Just changes the whole idea.
Yes, there it is. I mean, I do remember that story about 94% of Brexit voters concluding that they didn't get the Brexit that they voted for, which is odd, of course, because everybody knew exactly what they were voting for.
Well, we did know exactly what we were voting for. And it's a Brexit in progress, isn't it? When people talk about an oven-ready deal, you still have to put it in the oven. You still have to watch it.
You might have to boil a kettle.
And
I hadn't thought of it that way. So oven ready was not designed to convey the idea that all would be done and dusted once this deal was signed. It was like the beginning of the cooking time.
Exactly, James. Exactly, and that's what people misunderstood.
So the bigger the bird, the longer the cooking time.
Well,
yeah, that's right. Well, I think we're educating both each other today.
Well, you live and learn.
Yeah. Sorry, Martin. What are you trying to say there?
I was going to say that just with the oven ready deal, there's also carrots to be chopped. There's peas.
Yes, that's
to
very
be
true.
Shelled.
Yes.
You might want to make some gravy. Yeah. That'll take 15 minutes.
And people argue when they cook.
Gordon Ramsay.
I mean, Gordon Ramsay is sort of the Boris Johnson of the kitchen, isn't he?
Yes.
But let's address the elephant in the room here. You have been accused of bullying our culture secretary.
By who?
Well, by our culture secretary.
Oh,
so
yeah. I mean, the detail is a little bit unhelpful to that accusation. I think that the current culture secretary called me a posh boy public school fuckwit.
Well, listen, I can't be expected to remember what she tweeted, but
no. Well, I mean, I wish I couldn't either. But this was for the offence of having attended the same school that she sent her own daughters to. I'm not sure. I mean, it came up in select committee, and I'm not sure when she was asked that she could provide any evidence at all of me having engaged in the sort of behaviour she accused me of. And I haven't been able to find any either. But
she said, James, there'd been countless
occasions.
It's just unfortunately no one could back it up with evidence. But evidence is it's a very subjective thing, isn't it? Evidence. So
it's very much in the eye of the beholder, yes.
It's very much in the eye of the beholder. Like when you go and sort of, some people don't like Noel Edmonds. That's just an opinion. Similarly, with evidence. I think where I will agree with you is that by calling you a posh boy wit, that's been racist, really, isn't it? She's been prejudiced against you and your upbringing. Something you couldn't help.
It's not an immutable. I'm not sure it's an immutable characteristic. Some others may disagree, but I think it's a decision taken by one's parents, isn't it, to send their children to
it wasn't
public
your
school
fault.
or private school,
out of your hands.
Well, it was, but also, of course, Boris Johnson went to public school, so it's an inconsistent criticism, isn't it? If something wrong with it when I did it, but there's nothing wrong with it when Boris Johnson, for whom she certainly seems to hold him in very high regard.
Yes,
she seems untroubled by his education. He went to Eton, as you said.
Yes, she did. She had a massive. I think we can both agree she had a lapse of judgment when she, accused you of being posh. I think that was very unfair.
I would hope that we could all agree about that.
Yeah. So, James, you yourself are constantly attacking The Sun, the Daily Telegraph, the Daily Mail, and in particular, the Spectator. What did they ever do to you?
Well, I mean, on a personal level, not much. I have the occasional unkind article. And today, The Spectator carries a story about the burgeoning popularity of opinion-based talk shows in the commercial sector.
Great.
Without mentioning the most popular one in the country. I think we have slightly.
What's that? Piers Morgan?
Not yet. No, it's me. Currently.
Is it you?
He's snapping away at my heels with, I think, 24,000 viewers at the last count.
But James,
I have 1.4 million.
Okay, well, that sounds like a lot. But James, if the Spectator didn't sort of mention that, then is it true?
Yeah.
Is it true? Where are you getting your figures from?
Yeah, I mean that is it's like a tree falling down in a forest, isn't it? When there's no one there to hear it. Does it make a sound? So, and also, I hate is a strong word, but I do hate the way that the people we were talking about at the beginning of this interview have been, I believe, manipulated into holding positions that are actually against their own interests. So you can find the editorials which encourage readers to be against junior doctors, for example, or even firefighters if they deign to take industrial action. The police are coming in for quite a lot of abuse at the moment. Pretty much every area of public service that might be defined or described as being for the public good comes in at one point or another for abuse from organs that are pretty much dedicated solely to protecting the power of their owners. So I mean, I sound a little bit undergraduate perhaps, but I find that quite troubling.
But James, they're not just protecting their owners, they're also protecting the government.
Yes, well, they are definitely protecting the government. I couldn't agree with you more strongly on that. I mean, to almost an incredible degree.
Yes, incredible.
For a democracy.
Yes. Oh, God. Well, yes. Great for democracy. I mean, it's great because I feel we're actually really agreeing on a lot of things here, which I think is really, I wasn't expecting. I thought we would disagree on a lot. And actually, I think we're really finding common ground.
I feel like earlier, if I can just interject, I feel like earlier we all agreed that that Boris Johnson was a kind of lovable but effective Gordon Ramsay type in the kitchen. I think we all agreed on that. And it's just occurred to me that Brexit is a bit like that bit in Ratatouille where a lovable little cartoon creature crawls in under the hat and starts, just it all goes a bit crazy. We're not sure what's going on, but it is fun, and we're all just happy to watch it happen.
So, Martin, what is Brexit the lovable?
Well, that's
rodent?
the question, isn't it? Well, and are the spectator the hat that covers the rodent and therefore makes it possible? Because we all like what it's cooking up, but we just don't want to see it happen, do we? So, pop a hat on it.
It's good, Martin. Many people would think this analogy is very stupid, but actually, I think it's really quite illustrative. I
like the restaurant angle of it. I think there's some relevance there because there was a story in the Evening Standard a few years ago about a Chinese restaurant in Bayswater, and they actually got a photograph of a large vat of soup, and there was a small mouse swimming through the soup. So perhaps we could work with this. I would say that the United Kingdom was the bowl of soup, and Brexit was the mouse.
Do you know what? I don't think he's even seen Ratatouille. Anyway, that's it for this week. Please join us again next Friday for more highlights from the week's news. And Martin, can you do the bit where you tell them about what they
Absolutely.
need to do?
Click like and subscribe to make sure that you don't miss a moment of the fun and information from us at NonCensored.
And leave a review. You always forget that, Martin. Leave a review.
It's very simple. It's easier to hit the 5 stars. I think it makes you feel good. It makes us feel good. It just helps.
Thanks to Rosie Holt, Brendan Murphy, Eshaan Akbar, Rob Gilroy, Luke Kempner, and Ed Morrish. And sending all our love and support to James O'Brien. I hope you recover from this devastating defeat soon.